It's common that when a woman is nervous, she mumbles or rushes through. And that's a really big mistake, to go fast, to rush through, to speed up. This is the most common speaker mistake, is being so scripted that you sound like a robot. Welcome to the She Speaks to Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Julia Kraft, your authentic expression mentor and public speaking coach. She Speaks to Inspire is an empowering public speaking podcast for women with public speaking fear. Unlike other podcasts on public speaking, She Speaks to Inspire not only gives you tips to be a confident communicator under pressure, but also helps you regulate your nervous system for less anxiety, learn lifestyle practices to reduce burnout and overwhelm, and reconnect with your feminine leadership presence for more authenticity and comfort in your skin. I believe it's the quiet ones, especially the quiet women, who have the most important ideas. I believe the world really does need your voice. So let's dive in. Today we're talking about common speaker mistakes. And if you can eliminate these three things, your speaking will be completely transformed. I promise you. Is it easy to transform these three things? Not necessarily, but they are simple and you can know them right away after this episode. And then if you need some support in implementing what we talk about today, head over to speaktoinspire.com, watch the free training, and schedule a consult with me so we can explore if we're a good fit to work together. Let's dive in. So many women speakers that I talk with, that I work with, focus on doing things right when they first come to me. Though if we dig a little deeper, they have an unconscious belief, like, I need to do this perfectly. I need to be perfect. This in and of itself makes it so you'll miss the things that make the most difference when it comes to speaking. And I'm going to call those out today in terms of the biggest mistakes that really matter when it comes to speaking. Professional women that experience nerves when they're in the spotlight are often making these three mistakes that we're going to talk about in a moment for two main reasons. Number one, they haven't had speaker training in the first place. A lot of times when I ask a woman, have you had any speaker training? She'll say, oh, well, that class back in college, does that count? Maybe you're in that same boat. And it sort of counts. But you were a very different person back then. And generally, those college public speaking classes were about writing a talk, a speech, memorizing it, and delivering it. It's very formal and doesn't really address the real world speaking situations that you're ending up in today as a mid-career professional woman. So you haven't had speaker training to know what really matters. And that can, in and of itself, lead to anxiety. The other reason why you might be making these mistakes is that you haven't had feedback, which is part of speaker training, but specifically getting expert feedback from somebody that knows what to look for, that's an objective outside source. You might have received feedback from colleagues, bosses, sisters, friends, husbands, mothers, but that is subjective feedback, or feedback from people who don't necessarily know what would make the biggest difference. They just are picking up on a few random things and trying to put words to it, or just trying to be nice. And that's more common, not trying not to hurt your feelings. All right, let's dive into those three mistakes. By the way, the last mistake that I'm going to talk about is the most important, but let's start with this first one that is still super important. It's common that when a woman is nervous, she mumbles or rushes through. And that's a really big mistake, to go fast, to rush through, to speed up, to get it over with. And specifically to mumble or rush through in a moment when you're sharing your name and or your company's name, your business's name. That is a big mistake. Say when you introduce yourself at a networking event or at the beginning of your presentation, or you're going into a sales meeting and saying, "Hi, my name is," something like that. These are important first impression moments. Don't throw your name or your company name away. After someone hears you say your name or your company's name, they should be able to go Google you and your company because they heard it so clearly. Especially if your name is somehow a little complicated or different, hard to understand in some way. Instead of introducing yourself something like this, "Hi, my name is Julia Beecham and I'm the founder of Speak to Inspire and we're here to talk about da-da-da-da." What about saying it something like this? "Hi, my name is Julia Kraft, founder of Speak to Inspire Coaching." Slow, steady, crisp. Punch the enunciation, punch the consonants within your name and your company's name. That's an easy one to avoid. So I hope you can start doing that right away. And then that might already just increase your sales, increase your connections. It can be super powerful. Okay, mistake number 2, and this is a really common one, and it goes like under the radar. People don't realize that it's impacting their audiences, and it's making a huge impact that the audience don't even know. That's how under the radar it is. But as a speaker coach, I see it instantly when I look at someone speaking, and that is slouching or low body energy, low energy in your body. This shows up so much more these days because of COVID and everything going online, speaking going online. So we're on Zoom and we're at home and we're at our own desk, and maybe you have a desk chair that has armrests. That's a common thing. It's a comfortable thing. I totally get it. However, if you have armrests on your chair, it's going to be really common, easy for you to have your elbows on the armrests, slouch into your elbows, and then move your hands just a little bit, maybe from your wrists. So there's not a lot of movement and your chest is collapsed, your head is coming forward. Can you imagine this? In a physical sense, that posture is going to restrict your breathing, which will affect your nervous system and your ability of your nervous system to regulate itself, recognize safety, and calm down, as well as if you're not breathing deeply, your voice won't have as much power. So your voice might end up being soft or weak, or it might even go into crackle where it's just like crunchy and raspy. That's on the physical side. On the more energetic, emotional side of things, can you imagine the first impression of someone when we see them slouching, when we see their body has low energy, when they're collapsed into their elbows or even over to one side, versus if they were sitting up tall, had grounding underneath of them through their feet, had an open chest, a lifted head, bright open eyes. No matter what you say, no matter what topic you're talking about, no matter how prepared or unprepared you are, no matter how experienced or inexperienced you are, no matter if you're completely bullshitting or if you're completely sincere, if you are sitting up with energy in your body or standing up with energy in your body, you will be more engaging, persuasive, and inspiring. The best way to get that energy in your body, if you're not used to that, if you're not trained for it, is to start doing speaker warm-up routines, which I talk about in a lot of my episodes. It's what I teach my clients to do, where you do practices that get your breath moving, your body moving, your voice moving in ways that prepare you for external communication. A simple shift that can help with this is, if you can, stand up for your presentation. Even if you're at home on Zoom, even if everybody else in the meeting is sitting down, just standing up will increase your physical energy significantly without you having to pay attention to too many details about posture. But of course, in my courses, I teach a lot about posture and subtle physical tensions that are blocking both your physical voice as well as energetically symptoms of fear and avoiding being seen and heard. So that's mistake number 2, slouching or low energy in your body. Mistake number 3, this is the most common speaker mistake, is being so scripted that you sound like a robot. Like you're reading, you end up sounding flat and ultimately boring. It's counterintuitive because I know that you want to remember what to say, right? I get it. And it's counterintuitive because there's a cultural narrative that having a good speech equals being a good speaker. There's a lot of examples of that. And back in the 1950s, there was a style related to that. People were expected to sound more canned, have a certain style so that men sounded a certain way, women sounded a certain way. There was a style that you were meant to emulate. Society, humans have outgrown that a bit, I hope. We are outgrowing it. These days, we value authenticity, honesty, sincerity, unique personality, unique perspectives. So scripting really becomes an obstacle to your ability to be the persuasive, engaging, inspiring speaker that you want to be. It will keep you up in your head. It will color your nonverbal communication, making it stilted. So my biggest recommendation to avoid common speaker mistakes is to ditch the scripts, learn improvisation instead, master improvisational outlines, and get comfortable being an impromptu speaker. Easier said than done, but that's why you get a coach and, have some place to practice. And I'm here for you if you feel like I'm the coach for you. I hope that just illuminating these 3 common speaker mistakes, the mumbling and rushing through your own name and your company name, the low body energy slouching, and the being so scripted that you sound like a robot. Just hearing those things can start to reframe what being a good speaker even looks like. And you can start to look at how you prepare for your important communication moments and what standards you're holding yourself to so that you can actually get where you want to go as a speaker. Ultimately, your speaking is not about you. It's about the people that are listening, about other people receiving your message. So ultimately, that's what I'm passionate about. The impact that your persuasive, inspiring speaking presence is going to have on your audiences. It's the ripple effect. So go out into the world, speak to inspire, avoid these 3 common speaker mistakes, and reach out when you need support to get rid of nerves and get better at high-stakes communication. Thanks for listening. This has been She Speaks to Inspire with Julia Kraft, your authentic expression mentor and public speaking coach. I'm so glad you joined me. And I hope you got so much out of this episode. If you want to learn more about Speak to Inspire training programs and get inspired, head over to speaktoinspire.com or follow us on Instagram at She Speaks to Inspire. Never forget, the world needs your voice, and it's time for you to speak to inspire. See you in the next episode.